Hey everybody, how's it going? NICO, Scarlet Moon here, and in this video I thought it would be fun to teach people how to back engineer their horoscopes, or rather show people how I back engineer my horoscopes and how I look back at the previous week and see how it unfolded in my life. For a lot of folks out there, everyone's kind of got their own way, and that's cool, but I figured with some inspiration from others, I might want to let people see how I look at what is being presenting in my experience, and how it might help you to kind of maybe take on some different ideas, keep what resonates, leave what doesn't, and get more even out of your general readings. Now, I do want to stress that when I am charging my cards, programming my cards, calling into my higher guidance, and getting ready to do my reading, I am always focusing on what is unfolding in the following week. And nowadays, not so much, a while ago, but nowadays, I know there's a lot more of a focus on guidance in the present, right? Maybe on a daily basis, or maybe more of focus on a therapeutic narrative of, just sort of what is happening as part of this sort of ongoing continuum. And that's totally cool, right? It's all quantum, it's all happening somewhere. But when I do it, I try to isolate it to that particular week, of course, unless it's the incoming wave, which the incoming wave is then going to be here to land, and it's here for everybody. So just keep that in mind. When you're doing that with mine, it might not always resonate if you are, say, trying to relate it to a present experience you're going through, and you're doing it before the week even begins, or the week even ends. Okay, because that's not even how I programmed my cards to do it when I'm, charging and meditating, and that's a whole thing, by the way. I'll do a video on that in the future. That's why I don't shuffle or charge or pray on camera, because that takes a long time for me. Well, not a long time, but I spent some time with it. So anyway, in this video, we're going to talk about the week of March 23rd through the 30th. And so I'm going to be putting clips of that video up and talking about what transpired during that week. And if you want to go back to that week, if it's close enough to be relevant in your time, please do, right? They're always under my playlist on the main channel page. You can click on my avatar and go there and scroll down. There's the weekly tarot playlist, and it's there, and you can go see how things unfolded for you. But let's actually see what was going on. For your archetypal themes of this week, we have the Wheel of Fortune upright. And so this week is going to feel like every one of your goals, every one of your plans has a bit of an accelerant thrown into it. And I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune, that is a big theme. Everything kind of takes off super duper fast, and it's almost moving much more quickly than you thought you would be able to keep up with. Do your best, because with the Wheel of Fortune upright, it's overwhelmingly positive, but all of a sudden it's kind of like we have the green light, but we have to go now. And I'm feeling like with the Wheel of Fortune, there are a lot of things coming to substantiate for you that are going to clarify a sense of direction as it relates to maybe, what you're doing for your job, the field that you're working in, creative projects, relationships, living situations. The Wheel of Fortune is bringing in not only a lot of options, but it's also organizing those options. And you're going to notice everything this week kind of being sort of a bing bang boom kind of feel. Whatever you put out there, if you throw something out there, A, B, and C, and D steps all show up at once in the reply that you get. And so you're kind of getting a really good lead this week. Just be careful, because with the Wheel of Fortune upright, you do need to find a way to keep up with it. So as you can see, I skipped the incoming wave because I already did a recap video on those. But when it comes to the Wheel of Fortune, this week, absolutely everything was accelerated and amplified. Like, everything was given rocket fuel for me. One of the big themes that kind of played out was my entire environment has been going through a major shift and a major flux. Everyone is kind of pulling up anchor, pulling up their roots. Yes, at the time of making this video, of course, there are some things going on when it comes to, coronavirus and shelter in place and things like that. But there's also been this big focus of, look, we need to be done with this situation. Everyone in the building I'm in is getting ready to, get ready to move as soon as they can, which I thought was kind of interesting. I felt that cue myself, and midweek I had actually just texted my landlord without any provocation and said, I just wanted to let you know, and I wanted to be kind, and give you a 60 days heads up. I'm not signing another lease when my lease is up at the end of May. And he was like, cool, okay. And then I spent the rest of that day going, I haven't looked for a place yet. What was I thinking? But then, almost immediately following that, I actually ended up finding out that my another person in the building, who I'm good friends with, and one of his coworkers is also getting ready to leave the area. And, whether it's for a long-term stay at the new space or not, I'm invited. And I was like, okay, so that's pretty cool. That was a really fast chain reaction. I guess maybe the universe wasn't going to present something until I decided to demonstrate that I was done. And that was kind of a sequence of a lot of other things that were kind of playing out all throughout the course of this week. The week started off a little bit slow when it came to business, and then there was a traffic jam Tuesday through Thursday. It was a very, anything that I put out there or anything that I was working on suddenly got really, amplified and actually just accelerated in its development super, super quickly. And the more I would look into it, the more something would grow and grow and grow. So it's like I started off the week thinking, okay, I could probably be here for month to month after the lease is up and, just kind of take my time, maybe move September, October. Then comes midweek and I'm like, no, boom, I'm pulling the plug. And then, boom, a day later, all of a sudden, boom, time to go. Maybe even early, because the person I was talking about, as I am actually recording this video, is on the way here to come hang out with us and chill and, kind of house hunt and all of that. So it's a really interesting example of the Wheel of Fortune. And of course, it also hit other areas of my life as well, but that's what was up. So let's look and see what happened with the news and arrivals. The Seven of Wands in reverse, and I feel like there is something going on with either a friend or a relative, some kind of social connection where we really just need to let it go. The Seven of Wands reversed, maybe going back to that incoming wave, right? We're getting rid of the attachment mechanic, the cord mechanics, and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe there's something going on where this person is not handling that very well. It's a battle you don't need to fight. In fact, it's a battle that's a distraction. And this could be kind of like that person, right? When we think about when people start to know they're losing, or they know they've lost, or they know something's not happening, and they're kind of just acting out in futility. I want you to make sure that you don't allow yourself to get sucked into that maelstrom. Okay, because the Seven of Wands reversed is, a little goes a long way, but also it's a question of pick your battles, and this is a battle that we don't want to pick. Sometimes it has to do with maybe a person, they're freaking out a little bit, they're scared, they don't like a change that's being implemented, or maybe they've finally come out of their denial and they're realizing that they're losing, or that they're not going to get their way, or what have you. It doesn't really matter, though. The important thing is that the story is wrapping up. And with the Seven of Wands reversed, this person is not ready to end that story. Don't engage. Don't get back into the fray or into the fight, right? Because it's not something that you need to do. Pick your battles, because it could take up a lot of time, right? Because sometimes they just want that energy. They just want that attention. They feel like it's nourishing, or it's, or maybe it's therapeutic to engage in that way. Don't bother with that. So choose your battles this week. When things are getting cut off and you're getting set free, don't stay in the space you've been liberated from. Okay, so this one was definitely one that popped up early in the week. So this was definitely sort of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for me. And it was kind of an interesting challenge because I feel like it was a divine opportunity, it was a healing opportunity, it was a way for me to do some serious clearing, emotional decluttering, and some shadow work all at the same time. Because the Seven of Wands reversed with, at the interpretation at the time, what was coming through was all about picking your battles. I was actually having a few social battles, family, one particular family member, there were even things going on, here online on social media with some folks, and what was happening is I was actually seeing the theme, and the need to know to choose my battles, right? Not get involved, don't go and do this, don't try and change a person's mind, don't try and win somebody over. But also at the same time, don't get invested in whether or not they comprehend or learn or change. Like, get your ego out of it, NICO. You know, they're on their journey, it is what it is. And that particular set of circumstances was very much sort of bringing up a part of me that maybe I wasn't paying a lot of attention to healing, even though I've been doing a lot of work. And it all had to do with those, you know, because we all have these little sneaky spots in our subconscious with growing up with a volatile family situation, and the arguments and the debates and the interactions that were going on all followed a lot of the same patterns of what it was like to grow up with a very volatile, emotionally dysregulated relative. Everything from the attacks immediately followed by the docile, you know, begging and pleading for understanding, and the switching of modes from, you know, abusive to mixed messages, I think you're so great. And that was really kind of getting my adrenaline going for a minute. Of course, I was letting myself, you know, observe. I was like, okay, NICO, just pay attention. This is what's going on. You need to find a way to thank this person for giving you an opportunity to close that chapter of your life. If you can walk away from this situation, you can find a way to maybe never have to have this kind of interaction with this kind of situation again. And at first I was not there. At first I was like, you know what? I've been here for too long. I've been through this. I've done the whole thing, right? This totally, you are 100%, even just from the way that you're expressing yourself, we're jumping from attack mode to love mode to rejection mode to abandonment issues mode to, you know, and they're just throwing it all at me, right? And I'm like, I've dealt with you before. And then I was like, maybe that's old NICO talking. So I had to kind of learn to pick my battles and tell people when I was like, you know what, this is what it is. It is what it is. And, you know, I'm not making you stay here. I'm not making you keep a connection with me. I am not trying to make you do anything. If you can't observe the boundaries, if you can't hear the messages that are coming to you, if you're not willing to, you know, see where you might not be a good listener right now, I can't make that my business. And so I started closing it off. I chose my battles well, eventually. Not in the beginning of the week, but, you know, as we got to about Wednesday, a lot of that started to subside, and the tags, the zaps, the, you know, the beratement, the blowback, and the just the general negativity was kind of nullified and neutralized from that point on. So what about the material resources and work and the professional life? As we get down to material and business concerns, well, we have the Two of Cups upright, and some really interesting unions going on for the Virgo people. I do feel as though some partnership opportunities are coming up, both financial and professional. And I'm not sure if this is, you know, maybe in a more official capacity, or if this is something that has more of a grassroots energy that with the Wheel of Fortune starts to pick up a lot of speed really, really quickly. Remember, everything is snowballing this week for the best. And with the Two of Cups, I'm feeling as though a lot of you Virgo people are finding these alliances to not only be very profitable, but very creatively fulfilling as well, very professionally fulfilling as well. I'm actually wondering if there are a lot of collabs in it for you. And the interesting thing about this is I do get the feeling that a lot of you who are available, you know, maybe who are trying to get into a relationship, there may actually be that chemistry with a potential connector or collaborator this week, okay? It's not super duper duper strong. It really depends on, again, the vibe you're carrying, the vibe they're carrying, what's the match here, right? Because we all got to be on the same frequency. But it does look like that is available for a lot of folks, so you never know. So this one was actually really interesting because a lot of this didn't really start developing until probably Thursday, but it was so very clear what was going on at the time, because the Two of Cups, I think, kind of hit on multiple levels, right? It was talking about unions, talking about collaborations, partnerships, about the possibility of not only a new place to live, but maybe even living with a more compatible living situation, more like-minded people. I also received some word from 2 friends of mine who are part of my soul group that want to really get kind of down and dirty with some really intense and really cool collaborations and webinars that we're going to be kind of rolling out as we get into more of the April-May energy. And there's a lot of deeper committed one-on-one professional and spiritual connections in the interest of productivity going on here. And with the Two of Cups, I also noticed that a big part of what was also happening was leading me towards sort of a matchmaking situation. A lot of people kind of hooking me up with people that are ultimately saying and doing a lot of what I'm already planning on doing. It's really, really weird. And so we have this all kind of coming together right now. And ultimately, after Tuesday, it was an incredibly busy, an incredibly productive week. And it was sort of an interesting shift from the week before that was a little bit more quiet, a little bit more, maybe not necessarily dull, but a bit more empty. And I think a big part of that had to do with what's going on, out in the world right now. A lot of things kind of shifting up there. But here it ended up kind of getting jammed as we went into the second half of the week. So before we talk about the love card, the final card, I do want to kind of stress I've not really been pursuing relationships. I've not been actively or intentionally engaging with this part of my spread or my life on a social or mundane level at all. I've not really taken a lot of time to, spend any energy here or devote any energy here, especially not this last week. So I just want to stress that because I'm not necessarily engaged with this energy right now, this is not really going to apply to me, right? You have to participate in the horoscopes. I'm not just going to say this is going to drop something in my lap, especially not with the card that I'm about to read. So it's not really applicable to the experience I had. But it is applicable to another Virgo, and I'm going to talk about what's going on with them. On to love and relationships. Well, we've got the Three of Wands in reverse. And this week, just make sure that you understand that everything is going fast. And with the Three of Wands reversed, I'm getting a warning of a mixed signal or waiting too long. And I don't mean to rush. Okay, I'm not saying we want to ride the wave. We don't push the wave, we don't get ahead of the wave, and we don't try to follow the wave. We ride the wave. And with the Three of Wands reversed, there's going to be a feeling of that in relationships this week, maybe as a couple, or once again, if you're available talking to somebody new. There's going to be a need to walk in step with each other, and there could be some stumbling going on because somebody might take too long to come up with the next idea, or they might leave the ball in another person's court for too long. It's not the end of the world if that's the case, but we have to see where the miscommunication is happening so we can work that out. It's okay to be transparent, right? It's okay to do that. In fact, the Three of Wands reversed, a lot of you may be finding that you and a partner are also getting a chance to take on a missed opportunity or catch something that you're almost missing, as an opportunity to do together, whether it's as a couple, as a family, or even just, something that is meant to change the direction of the course of our future, for our individual lives and or as our lives as a couple. But we have to make sure that we're not taking it too slow in that sense, or taking too much time moment to moment or between moment to moment, because we don't want to have a phone call and talk about setting up a plan and getting the creative juices flowing, getting excitement going, and then having it cool off after 4 days and not be able to work with that mojo. Don't rush it, don't get forceful, pick your battles, but at the same time watch for signals. So as I said before, my lack of engagement, lack of involvement, lack of bothering might be showing up in the fact that Three of Wands reversed. Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I should pay attention. Maybe something's flying under my radar. But I don't really spend a lot of time here, at least not at the time of recording this video. Now, what I find interesting about this, though, is I did observe this in a Virgo friend of mine who has been kind of having some issues with not necessarily like big, horrible relationship drama, but it has to do with relationship logistics. some decisions were made this week on the part of their partner, due in part to the fact that neither one of them was really coming up with concrete ideas to reassure each other and bring a confidence to the table. They left the ball in the other person's court for too long. There wasn't really a lot of collaboration and a lot of opportunities to build that bridge and get rid of that uncertainty were not there. Too much time spent delaying the important talk. And I remember this very clearly because there were points in this week where I was kind of like, look, I think that maybe you want to communicate with this person more directly about what you can do, or maybe communicate more directly about what options you both have logistically. Don't just be passive and, wait for something to get both of your guys' attention. Now, unfortunately, that's not what happened. And so the other in the situation ended up kind of making a decision to do something completely different. And so the relationship is kind of in a weird spot logistically at the time of making this video. But because it is the Three of Wands reversed, it can be reversed, right? It can be turned right side up. But the important thing is to also understand, like, there was something going on here where, yeah, both people left the ball in the other person's court. They were waiting for a sign. And there was, not enough keeping the other in the loop. And so it was sort of like, look, we missed the last train out of the station. Now we got to wait till tomorrow for the trains to start again. The lack of communication did end up prompting a lot of people to act out of their uncertainty and out of their anxiety. But it will get better, okay? And it's already getting better now.